Hello mofos, BJ on Game Day back again for another team review. You got Brent, you got Bogan with me here on this episode. Bogan, how are we?
Yeah, I'm going good, mate. Going good. Penrith Panthers this time round.
Yes, no Joshy King this week. We've decided to give him the night off. He's been pumping the content out with you, Bogan. You won't get the night off, mate. But we've given his dulcet tones a bit of a sit down, let him recover and get those vocal cords ready for the next big month of footy previews and reviews we've got ahead of us.
Oh, no doubt he'll be back though. Better than ever.
Don't worry, you will only have to listen to my monotone voice for hopefully a short while as we record the Penrith Panthers. We will jump in, obviously, BJ on Game Day, Supercoach group code. Make sure you jump in there. Big league growing. The more we can get in, the better. It's great to see that growing. 218-667. Jump in, compete with us. We'll obviously review that group and our weekly reviews, top scorers, that sort of thing. And great to see the support as well. So thanks everyone out there that's already in there.
So before we go on the teams, I've got something to say, and I've done this for a few of the clubs. But Penrith Panthers, state of your fucking logo at the moment. You might notice that we've got the retro Chocky Soldier Penrith Panthers logo up there at the moment. However, this is the current official Penrith Panthers logo. It doesn't even say Penrith or Panthers. It's just a fucking picture of a panther. You wouldn't know that that's a sports team logo if you saw that. And didn't know.
Bogan, I don't know what to tell you. It's almost like we need a Bogan's outrage of the week.
Controversy corner.
Yeah, Bogan's not happy, and that's one of them. Look, I would like to think they probably think that the Panthers becoming a bit of a global recognised brand.
They probably paid some cunt 6 figures to come up with that.
You'll have to beat that out, I'd imagine.
No, I won't. I'll be fine.
All right. Now,
if the guy who designed the Penrith Panthers logo is offended by that, he can get fucked. He can go and drink bleach.
Oh, look, in Australia, I think it's pretty recognisable. Outside of Australia, you'll be doing it. Probably outside the East Coast, you'll be doing well for people to understand what that is.
Outside of Australia and New Zealand that watch us, so it's fine.
Yeah. Anyway, so we digress.
We're going with the old school Panthers logo, which they should go back to, or at least the black one. But the Panthers, they change their logo more often than Josh King changes his T-shirt. So,
look, I'm a big fan of the old retro logos for all sides. I think one of the things Todd Greenberg should be doing in 2020 is enforcing that all clubs go back to their retro logos.
At least for the rival rounds, they should be using their retro logos.
Well, I think they do for retro round. There's obviously retro round where they tend to bring that sort of thing in.
See,
the Penny Panther, that's a good one.
I wouldn't know because I go for South and they tend to hardly ever fucking change their logo.
Yeah, once they made themselves back in the comp, mate, I think, they were good. Anyway, we digress. Let's jump into the Panthers.
Let's have a look at the Panthers team.
Panthers predicted lineup from NRL.com. At the moment, this was possibly done at the end of 2019, but I'd imagine it'll be fairly close. Obviously, you've got Dylan Edwards will look like he'll lock down the fullback spot. You've got Joshy Mansour and Brian Ta'u on the wings, Dean Vare, Brent Naden in the centre positions. It looks as though Luai will fill Maloney's vacant 5'8" position. Nathan Cleary obviously will be locked in at number 7. Jimmy Tapau and new signings Zane Tedavano will likely prop up. You got Vili Kikau, Asai Yao in the back row. James Fisher-Harris probably likely to fill the number 13 spot. A few options, obviously, with the interchange at the moment. This side's got Capewell, Martin, Linu, and Leota. But there's also guys like Jack Etherington, Mitch Kenny, a few guys like that as well, depending on what these final team lists will look like. We'll probably run through a few of their top players, possibly some mid-range guys that you haven't thought about that could be on the radar. And we will see what happens come Team List Tuesday in regards to whether you have some of these guys or not. Starting from the top, we'll go with their most expensive player for 2020 Supercoach-wise, and that'll be Nathan Cleary at $631K. That was bumped up by the big 186 he finished with against Newcastle in round 25 last season, so that's probably bumped him up a few dollars, unfortunately, for Supercoaches this year. I think even at his price, he is the most expensive halfback, but it is hard to look past him. Goal kicks, very involved. Obviously, if there's anything happening in Penrith, it's generally going to be happening off the back of Nathan Cleary. What can I say? I think there's definitely some cheaper options there, but I don't think you can really go too wrong with him. We'll have a look at the Panthers draw after this, but I definitely think he's a guy, if you've got him currently in your side, there's nothing wrong with that. Even at his price, he will probably fluctuate throughout the year, but as we saw at the back end of last year, and obviously that 186 to finish the season off, it'll all come out in the wash with Cleary. One of the boppers, probably, a guy that had a breakout season last season, James Fisher-Harris. Now, he's got the big tick for me this season. He's not in my side, but I think he's a guy, like I said, he's had the breakout season. He played 80 minutes most of the year. That was a combination between the lock position and prop, which is, in the modern day game, effectively they're playing the same sort of role. But he's a base stats beast. His base stats will be, upwards of 60 points some weeks, but generally that 40 to 50 point mark, which is huge. Priced at 615k, he's not James Taumalolo expensive at 700k plus. Again, I have not checked my duality status of these guys as I didn't with Davey Clemmer, but if he's dual front row, second row, which I'd imagine he probably should be, he's definitely an option. I can't see him losing minutes if he didn't lose minutes last season with the same sort of guys in the Penrith back row. And obviously he can fill in at prop, as I mentioned. So, again, I can't see him losing minutes really anywhere. Another guy I want to mention, which he's sort of probably a bit more awkwardly priced, but I am a big fan of him. Supercoach-wise, again, a bit hard to pick him, but Billy Kikau. The guy is absolutely devastating when he's on. The problem with him is he doesn't have a great output in terms of base. He's not going to make 40 tackles and 20 hit-ups every week. You are relying on him getting those attacking stats, and he is a handful. He's very hard to bring down. He's got the offload. Injuries have been a bit of a worry with him in the last sort of 12 months, but 540k is probably a little bit awkwardly priced, but he could be a pod for your side if you're willing to take a punt. I definitely think he'd be a good draft option, obviously. You don't get one of the top back rowers you're looking for. He's a guy that can blow up out of nowhere, and I think he's only going to keep getting better and better. His minutes weren't, totally reliable last season, but there was definitely occasions where he plays the 80 minutes. But I just feel like this guy is going to get better and better, and I'm a big fan. Won't have him on my side at 540k, but, looking for something different out there, he's definitely a bloke. On the wing, you got Brian too. Now, he had a huge finish to the 2019 season, come in as a rookie in 2019. His base isn't, crazy for a winger. It's not bad. He's like looking at about that, 20 to 30 point range, fairly up and down with that. But I think his run meters, his post-contact meters, and definitely his tackle buster up there with, if he wasn't one of the best in the comp to finish the year off, he wouldn't have been far off. He's not cheap, and that is a reflection of the way he finished 2019 off. But I think, again, he's another guy that got his opportunities, taken it with two hands, and I expect to only see him get better and better over the next few years. I think he's a bit hard to pick to start your season off at 527k, but maybe watch him if he starts the season slow or ends up, getting down around 400k or something in the first sort of, 8 weeks of the comp. Api Coruscant is probably a guy I want to talk about. Now, he's priced at 340k, and there's some interesting things with this. Obviously, I mentioned Mitch Kenny. I read something he's possibly not going to be starting the season, Mitch Kenny. He ended up being their primary sort of hooking option at the end of last season with Jerome Luau mixing in there. But my understanding is that Ivan Cleary wants an 80-minute hooker, and I'm a big fan of Api Coruscant. He was dangerous at Manly last season. The problem was he wasn't getting 80 minutes, and he was, inconsistently getting the minutes. They had Fainu there, who's obviously a young gun, who has unfortunately allegedly been involved in a stabbing. So, not sure what's going on there. Coruscant's left, thinking fun who's going to get the spot. But I reckon at 340k, if there's no hooker of any description named on that Penrith bench, I would be putting Api Coruscant in almost the must-have basket just because of how dangerous he is. I know Joshy isn't a huge fan of him. The funny thing is, I think if you have a look at team lists, team reveals, maybe last season or the season before, he started with him only in the last 2 years, so I don't know where that's come from, but I'm putting Api Coruscant in there in my starting hooker at this point in time. Obviously, team list Tuesday will determine whether he stays, but at the moment I'm running Cookie and Coruscant. Pretty happy about that. Another one, it's interesting, is Kurt Capewell. Now, people might roll their eyes or think, what are you smoking by bringing up Kurt Capewell? The Asai Yao spot, I don't know how locked in that is. Obviously, Capewell and Yao can fill in the centre position, so it'll all sort of determine on Cleary, but Capewell's got that dual second row centre duality, which is pretty scarce this season for quality. If for some reason Kurt Capewell gets 80 minutes and can somehow cement that back row spot, you might consider him. His base isn't huge, but you're not probably picking him on base. He's priced at 400k. You're probably going to rely on him to score some attacking points, so it might be a bit of a bum steer, and there's probably going to be a bit of risk with him being able to, with job security. And obviously, the fact that he can play centre as well means there's possibly only an injury or two away and he finds himself in a centre or a wing position as a bit of a Mr. Fix-It. You got Sauce at 400k. He's not cheap, but he's not premium. If you want to take a punt on him bouncing back to form, he was a premium winger in seasons gone by, had a pretty quiet 2019, bit of injury riddled in the last couple of seasons. And yeah, how can I not mention Jerome Luai? So he's going to look like start the sixth position, 257k, dual halfback, 5'8". If he's not the most popular player in Supercoach, he has to be in the top 2 or 3. He's an unreal footballer. He's just as dangerous as any 5'8" running around. I think it's great to see him finally get an opportunity because he's a joy to watch, and I don't think it'll take long before he's a 500k half in Supercoach that'll be potential to ton up plenty. Once the ball he takes the line on, he's got a dangerous step. Looking forward to seeing how he goes in 2020. And the only other possible guy that you might, a bit of an unknown depending on what happens, the signing of Zane Tedovano. He's priced at 310k. He might lock down that starting prop position. I'm not too sure of what his output will be like, what his minutes will be like, but at 310k, he could be a guy that you keep an eye on in the first 3 or 4 weeks, depending on what his output looks like, because there isn't a great deal of good, cheapish or even really mid-range options in the front row position this season, Supercoach-wise. I think that's about it in my sort of wrap of the Panthers. I'm not sure if I've missed anything worth noting, but Bogan, you got anything else Supercoach-wise on Penny?
Not really. I, like most people, probably look at picking up Jerome Luai. Just because he's cheap and he's probably going to have a breakout season. I'm more interested in the Panthers to see how they'll do NRL-wise rather than Supercoach-wise. Last year they were talked about quite a fair bit, especially before the season, as being potential premiership contenders, and they were shit out of the gate. I'm just wondering what your thoughts are on whether the Panthers will be able to turn that around this year and actually show some of the promise that a lot of people predicted that they have.
Oh, look, I think off the field they had a bit of drama with obviously Griffin going, was it last year, mid last year, or at the end of the year before, where he was sort of just coming into finals. I can't recall off the top of my head. From everything I can gather, Ivan Cleary's a top coach. He's always, he's been pretty, well, he hasn't probably delivered results awesome, but he's got a good reputation as a coach. I think with a full preseason under him, they should be a bit more settled. There's been a lot of talk, obviously, with Phil Gould and different players leaving, but I think got a bit of stability in having a full preseason together. They're the kind of side when they click, they can put points on quickly and they can compete with any side. It'll all start with the defence. I don't think the defence was awesome last season, but they do have plenty of youth in there. So I think they got a good mix. I'm just not, execution-wise, they probably missed it a bit last season, but, we saw against the Knights the way they finished the year. If they play like that all season, that they'll be a handful. They got a pretty tough start to the season. They play the Chooks to start the season and then Melbourne in round 3 down there. They also got the Raiders mixed in there. So you'll find out a lot about Penrith in the first 6 weeks. There's probably, if they aren't 3-3, they should probably be beating the Dragons, probably beating Brisbane at home and also the Tigers at home. But that said, I think the competition's as even as it has ever been. I can't remember a year where it's been so even. Now that the Knights aren't the whipping boys, and the Titans are obviously still copping it, and the Dogs haven't been awesome, but they're starting to get better. But I think it's hard now.
I think the Titans are probably the only team that you could write off pre-season, to be fair.
Yeah,
but,
and even on their day,
even on their day, they could beat anyone. But I think they're the Titans are the only team that it'd be fair to say don't have a finals chance. But we're talking about the Panthers.
Look, I think if they're going to do well, it's going to come off the back of Cleary, Api Coruscant, guys like James Fisher-Harris, probably Jerome Luai as well.
The pressure of expectation won't be on them this season as well.
Yeah, and look,
as I said, with getting Ivan in there, the controversy around the coaches and the Ivan walking out of the Tigers and things like that. The Tigers, they'll be the next fit up, so they actually were more successful last season than the Panthers. I think having that weight of expectation not on them and just be able to concentrate on football could be a special thing to watch with the Panthers this year.
Yeah, I totally agree. Definitely no expectation would be a good thing, and they've also got some experience in their side. Guys like Jimmy Tapau in the forward pack, and if they can click and get it right early, they're a momentum side, and it'll be interesting, like I said, to see how they're going after the first sort of 6 weeks.
As I mentioned before, next video up in our team previews will be the West Tigers.
Yeah, so we'll do the Tigers next. That's about it for the Panthers. You got any possible pods or cheapies for the Panthers that we've missed out? Comment, let us know who they are, who you're running with from that Panthers side. It looks like at this stage. Once again, jump into the BJ on GameDay Supercoach group 218667, and thanks for the support.
Hey guys, Joshy here. Thanks very much for joining us for another episode of BJ on GameDay. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, hit the bell on YouTube for all your notifications. If you do want to follow us on Facebook, you can find us there at BJ on GameDay, and on Twitter we're at BJ on GameDay as well. So guys, we'd really like your support with that. Follow us so we can know you guys are enjoying the content. Thanks very much.